Time for date nights with Dream Date by Sinclair Smith. I was a bit nervous about this one, but I was pleasantly surprised. Hi everyone, join in. Hi Josh, I just added you in. Invite. I should have done it. Fingers crossed. Is he going to be here? Josh, wakey wakey. It's your nightmare.
Shelley! Oh,
It's only me.
I was having the most wonderful dream.
Oh, what was you dreaming about, Josh?
You, Shelley. Always you.
That must have been a nightmare then, because it's just a nightmare. Are you okay?
Winter nights.
Winter nights and snuggly blankets.
Have you got the Dream Date t-shirt?
No, I just put a pink t-shirt on that says game over, because that's the only pink t-shirt that I had. It's got a little Mario on somewhere.
Brilliant.
So just check if I've got Dream Date. Woohoo! So if hopefully the sound's okay, because I know I had a problem last time, so I'm sure people will let me know if there isn't. But we're going to be talking about Dream Date.
It was all a nightmare.
I've also got like this shiny copy as well, because they refoiled them. Oh, it's really shiny.
Yeah.
They refoiled them.
Nice.
It's got a bit of a sticker there, but yeah, after a while. But I kind of like the original.
I think I have the boyfriend, one of those. And yeah, when you look at them, they look a little bit like you're looking at the sun. It's just like, what is actually happening?
Yeah, it's blinded by the light. But yes, so talking about Dream Date. But firstly, I'll just introduce you, Josh, if people don't know you already. And, why we did this for February. So Josh was actually, as well as being an absolutely awesome person, he was actually my very, very first Point Hard Book Club live chat guest this time last year, where we did the boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to maybe make a tradition that every February we have Josh on. I haven't told him that yet. But I just thought it'd be nice to honour it. And also as well, because Josh has got an awesome book coming out called The Shadow Glass. And I just want everyone to read it and grab a copy. So if you like bloodthirsty puppets and nerd heroes and 80s fantasy films and found families, then this is the book for you.
That's it.
The bloodthirsty puppet should sell it, really.
Absolutely. Who doesn't love a bloodthirsty puppet?
Just missing out.
You could even call Katie a bit of a bloodthirsty puppet in this book.
OMG, yes, indeed. Thanks everyone for joining us. If you pop some comments up, I'll try and read them out.
I'm now going to get rid of this. I'm getting really hot.
I thought you were just going to be so chilled and sleepy. Karen's put she have to keep the girlfriend for February 2023. Yeah. Maybe we might have to do that. And Kat says the Shadow Glass is amazing. So Kat likes some bloodthirsty puppets.
I think Kat likes a bit of darkness.
So Dream Date then. I was a bit nervous about this one because, bit of a backstory, Sinclair Smith, we've read previously when I did the Point Hard Book Club, we'd read a couple of Sinclair Smith and they didn't go down very well at all. Yeah, so I think we read Double Date and The Boy Next Door. However, Larissa at the Point on Pike Street has said if I reread the Boy Next Door, I will enjoy it more this time.
Okay. That's the one that has kind of a bit of a rubbish front cover, like a stained glass front cover.
That's it. But I have to admit, the ending of that one is hilarious. So we'll have to read it at some point.
He's not next door at all. He's 2 doors down.
It's got a very interesting death Kind of death.
Hmm.
We'll have to read
It's
it and
point
we'll,
horror, so
we'll
yeah.
find out.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was a bit nervous about this one because I was like, oh, is it going to be like, am I just going to hate it or
Yeah.
what? And Sinclair Smith was my first actual point horror author that I read back in the day as a teen as well, with The Waitress. And I've been too
I think,
nervous to reread that one just in
yeah,
case.
I think The Waitress is one of the really early ones that I read as well, because that cover is so iconic and it really is like burned into my brain.
Mm.
But yeah, for the same reason, I haven't gone back to it just in case it's
I'm
not as
so
good.
worried. Like, what happens if I read it and it just destroys all my like dreams that I had of how
Yeah,
brilliant that book was? But
yeah,
yeah, but Sinclair Smith may have.
yes.
I don't know whether Sinclair Smith is a man or a woman, but Sinclair Smith redeemed themselves with this one, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Okay,
Um,
interesting.
so the tagline for this one is "Sweet dreams and rest in peace." And poor Katie doesn't get to rest in peace, really, does she?
Oh, she doesn't get to
Bless
rest
her.
at all.
No.
She can't catch a break, this Katie.
So I'll just do a little summary of the book, or I've tried to. So much went on that it's just woo. But yeah, Katie Shaw has just moved to the area to a town called Green Spring, which apparently is the posh area because it's near the mall.
Yeah.
However, Katie lives in the secluded old rundown part of the town called Ear Hall Creek, which was formerly Bear Hall Creek, but it lost the B.
Isn't it Howl?
Oh, is it? I read it as
Isn't it
Hall.
Howl? Maybe I completely misread
I
that. I
might have
swear it
done a
was like
typo on
Bear
my
Howl.
notes. Yeah, it might be me.
We'll
You
go
know
with
what I'm
both.
like at pronouncing things? I'm like rubbish.
Yeah.
But I just found it funny that it lost the B and they just couldn't be bothered to like, fix it, so
I
they just
know.
renamed the town.
Yeah.
So she lives in this old house on top of this hill. There's all fields out of the back. She swears she can hear like scratches in the walls that are rats, and there's rumours that the house is haunted. But this is no ordinary ghost story. Move over, Freddy Krueger, because there's a new boy in town. And on the cusp of Katie turning 17, she's asking herself, where is the sparkle in my life?
She does, doesn't she? She's like,
She
I
really
thought my
does.
life would change when I became a teenager, and it still hasn't happened yet.
Still the same.
No.
But Katie discovers that when she wishes upon a star, a tall, dark, handsome stranger may answer her wish, turn up on a motorbike, smell of smoke, and become the man of her dreams or maybe her nightmares.
Ooh.
So, ooh. So Heath appears in Katie's dreams and promises the usual point horror offerings, like popularity and, becoming something special with your life. And
Yeah.
Katie kind of falls
Special
for it.
girl.
Yeah, she goes along with it. She becomes a fan of nap time. I mean, I'm a
Who
fan of
doesn't
a
love
nap.
a nap?
You've got to
Oh,
have a
yeah,
nap.
definitely.
But she soon realises, shock horror, that things are not as they seem with the man of her dreams.
Ooh.
So initially, Katie's in denial about his split personalities and his very toxic traits. But Katie still goes back for more each and every time, having naps and lots of sleeps until her life and her friends are put in danger. For daring to date an actual real boy, Heath doesn't like that. And Katie can't, she just wants to go back and back and back for more until she realised that Heath is getting stronger and invading her life. What on earth is going on? It's only a silly dream, right? It is.
And
So,
so much more than a dream.
so I have renamed Dream Date the Home Alone of Point Horror because the
Ah,
parents go very quickly.
they do. They bugger off to Florida. And they don't even say goodbye. They just leave her a
They
note.
just go.
They're just gone. It's like, what, 2 days after her birthday, for which they did nothing special for her. And then they
Yeah.
just bugger off to Florida.
I mean, the mom did give her the credit card.
And they left a very suspicious, like, blue gift box on the sideboard somewhere. that contained like a pendant or something. But they weren't like, happy birthday, darling, you're 17 at last,
17.
like celebrations. She's just finds a gift, goes to school. No one mentions her birthday once. And then she comes home again.
And the weird thing is as well, she kind of forgets, like she realises her parents aren't there and she's like, oh, where have they gone? And she's like, oh, that's right, they've gone on holiday.
Yippee.
And they go on holiday just as they're obviously realising that there's something quite not right.
Yeah,
She's tired
naturally.
and sleeping all the time. But, just go on your jollies. That's all right.
You're all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So Katie then, our girl of this point horror. What did you think of Katie? What were your thoughts, Josh?
I kind of liked her. I thought that she was obviously like the typical kind of wallflower who's just dreaming of more. She's, lived this really sort of mundane existence, but she wants to discover the excitement of being sort of a high schooler with crushes and dates and all this kind of stuff. So I like that about her. And she's relatively smart because she does ask questions. She says to Heath, well, how did you sort of figure out how to come out of the dream? Or like, how is any of this happening? So she does ask the questions. She's very accepting of the cryptic, nonsensical answers that she receives. But at least she's asking them. And the one thing that was really like, I haven't noticed this in all the point horrors. I know that a lot of point horror protagonists sort of like think a lot, like they think to themselves a lot. But I think Katie did it to the absolute extreme. Like sometimes half a page is just her thinking. Like it's like in the Brady Bunch when she's like listening to Jan. It's kind of like that.
Oh, that's so true. Like she literally spoke to herself on like every page.
Non-stop.
Yeah.
She's an only child. She's lonely.
Oh, bless her. I felt kind of sorry for her.
What did you like her?
Yeah, I liked her. I liked the fact that she was this like blue eyes and like this shy personality. And then like on the cusp of like turning 17, so going from 16 to 17, she thinks this man that she's met in this dream has like made her into this. It was a sex dream basically, wasn't it? Yeah. So like he basically turned her into this like sex goddess just by like letting her
not pinning her hair.
not putting her hair up. So I've failed tonight because I've put my hair up in there. But yeah, just the fact that she like changed to this like sex goddess overnight, and she was like, but it gave her the hair down and this like sexy woolen dress thing that her aunt had brought her. Had like turned her into this person who was more confident. And
it's a bit like sort of pretend until it becomes real, I guess, kind of thing. Like she didn't have the confidence just to try it out until he told her that she was like beautiful, like so pretty and just brilliant and amazing. And she was like, maybe I am.
Maybe I am beautiful. Oh God. But what I liked about her as well, Lune Nook has put, I can't think about Katie without rolling my eyes. Yeah. Oh, poor Katie. She was just misunderstood and high on coffee.
Yeah. She's not been sleeping.
No.
She's an insomniac.
And she gets grumpy.
She gets a real shirt on. Yeah, grumpy. Absolutely. She treats Raquel like dirt, basically, for the entire book.
Yeah. And also that bus driver, when she's like standing up and like half asleep, and he's like, have you been sleeping? And she's like, no. She like turns into this like evil like person.
Don't talk to me about sleep.
But yeah, so I know. And like she must have been snoring, right? She's got to have been snoring.
I mean, yeah. I
Yeah,
think that she's a snorer
yeah,
for
I
sure.
think she is.
Yeah.
That's the big debate. Is she a snorer?
Yeah. I feel like the kind of nightmares and dreams she's having, if she's not snoring, then she's probably screaming.
Oh dear. Melina just put that the coffee reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, it had
Yes.
so many Nightmare on Elm Street vibes. I'm surprised they didn't get sued.
Yeah, the first time she sees Heath, he steps out from behind an elm tree.
An elm tree.
And what else happened? On page 4, she says that she thought she would never sleep again.
Oh yes.
Uh, and then obviously we'll get on to Freddy, but there is a character called Freddy as well, spelled exactly the same way
Total,
as
yeah,
Fred
totally
Krueger.
felt the same. So
Yeah.
Sinclair Smith was definitely a fan of
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, but
But if you think about it, this came out in 1993. So we had actually finished all 6 Elm Street movies.
yeah,
And it was in 94 that we got the good one, which was Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which was really postmodern and awesome.
yeah,
So so she had like 6 films basically just to sort of like rip off with this
yeah.
book.
I mean,
Um,
honestly, how did they get away with it?
I
It's
know.
crazy, but I
It's done with
liked it.
love, I guess, isn't it? Yeah, it's great. It's great.
But yeah, no, I also like the fact as well that, as I mentioned earlier, the mom gives her the credit card and she goes and buys all these fashion magazines
Hmm.
and like becomes like hot and wearing all these fashionable clothes.
Yeah.
But
And the
yeah,
mum's like, don't buy anything trampy now. You know, I'm not one
don't
to
buy
judge,
anything
but
slutty.
I will judge my daughter.
Inside the covers, but I turn into that person when I don't get any sleep.
Oh, yeah.
I
For
think
me,
we
it's
all do.
food and sleep. Yeah.
Food and sleep,
Too little of
always.
either of those. Absolute monster.
Food and sleep. Um, but what annoyed me about Katie, which probably I know is the point, but the way that she just falls for Heath's charms, like straight away, and
Hmm.
straight away off the bat, he's sleazy and like not nice at all with what he's saying,
Well,
and
she
she
says that
just
she feels undressed the moment she
yeah,
meets him.
oh
His deep dark
God,
eyes that seem to see more than just your body. And yet,
and like the excuse she makes is like, oh, he's just so handsome. He's just a rebel, and that's
yeah,
okay. That's why he's bad because he's just he's just a rebel.
yeah,
So it's all completely fine and completely normal the way that he's talking and what he's doing.
yeah.
But
He
I
basically gaslights her.
yeah,
He
yeah,
hugely
it's
gaslights her and makes
so
it her
bad.
problem. She's the problem, not him.
Yeah, and I think one of the lines that made me laugh was when he says, "Beautiful hair, beautiful girl, and I like your dress," and then he just vanishes into thin
I
air,
know.
and Katie's like standing there going,
Huh.
"Oh, that was so amazing that he said that to me," and I was like,
I
"What?
know. But do you not think
What?"
that 16-year-olds, they would probably, they you feel completely anonymous. Like in high school, I felt so anonymous.
Yeah,
So to have somebody who like tosses their hair back and wears like ripped jeans and cut off t-shirts and just thinks tells you that you're amazing, you would just be like, oh, you would fall for them hook, line, and sinker, wouldn't you?
yeah, I have to admit, yeah, that would
Yeah, it would
probably get
happen.
me. And the thing is, it totally would. I can't
It would
even
happen
deny
now,
it.
you know.
Well, if Adam Devine came along, yeah, my obsession.
Mm.
But yes, um, well, I've lost my train of thought thinking about
Sorry.
Adam Devine
Oh
now.
no.
um, but yeah, and what was with the fact that she was always in that like pure white virgin sundress every time she was in the dream. Was
Yeah.
that like her dream or was that Heath's fantasy?
I don't know.
It's a bit weird.
But is it it's almost like she was kind of entering into a bit of a limbo because
Mm.
spoiler, we find out he's actually a ghost.
Mm.
So is she sort of like in Charmed, whenever an episode, whenever there was a character in Charmed who like ended up sort of in the place between life and death, they pretty much always wore like a white dress, and it was all a bit
Mm.
like bright lights and pretty.
Yeah, I forgot
Um,
about that.
so I wonder if it's because she's in that sort of like, yeah, the in between place, and
Mm.
everyone just wears white dresses in the in between place.
And I thought as well it was a little bit like in Nightmare on Elm Street, which we discussed last week on the movie chat. When if you think of Tina, she's in like a white
Nighty.
pajamas or nighty. That was it. That's the word I'm
Mm.
looking for. So like a white nighty. So I don't know whether it
And
was
the
like some
kids,
imagery.
the creepy kids jumping rope as well, singing the song.
Yeah, they're in
They're
like
all
the
wearing
white.
white dresses and stuff.
So maybe it's like a dream related thing that she's always wearing this white dress. And
Yeah.
that's when I go to sleep tonight, I'm going to try and mentally remember if I'm wearing a white dress in my dreams. You never know.
Maybe it's
Um,
purity as well. Like she is kind of naive and pure,
yeah,
and he's the bad boy on the motorbike. So it could just be
yeah,
that as well.
yeah. Definitely was singing like Cool Ride. Don't know when he like rides up on
Oh
his
yeah.
motorbike, like out of
Oh
Grease
yeah.
too.
I
Oh,
was like,
hell
do you want to join my gang? My
yeah.
gang.
Oh dear. I had all high hopes when he turned up on that motorbike and no.
Oh. Oh,
Um
actually, one final thing about the dress. What what kind of dress does a bride wear?
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. There's
So
definitely more to the
there's
white
a lot going on
dress.
there. Sinclair Smith, we know what you're
Clever.
thinking. Yeah.
Clever. We
Yeah.
underestimated them. Emma's put stay away from girls in white summer dresses.
Ooh, yeah.
Woohoo! um, I also liked as well. There's a scene where like her schoolwork is obviously slipping, and she falls asleep in class,
Yeah.
which is just great. I just just love that because she's like this shell of her former self. And then there's this teacher, Mr. Preston, who, in front of the whole class, like wakes her up and like berates her, saying, "Are you on drugs?"
Yeah.
Like that's the first thing he says, and he gets like that close to her, like she can see his like nostril hair
Yeah.
and stuff.
That's
And
like the stock 90s thing that basically all grown-ups used to say, wasn't it? Was, are you on drugs? I don't
are
know
you
if they
on
say that now
drugs?
nowadays,
Yeah,
but there was like a big panic about drugs in the 90s.
must have been.
And
It was just,
yeah.
it was the whole scene just made me laugh, and then he like ships her off to the guidance counsellor,
Yeah. Miss
um, Miss
Fusco,
Fusco, who
yeah,
was like far too interested in
in the clothes.
Katie's clothes.
You look fabulous, by the way, dear, but are
I
you
think
all
she's,
right?
I think she's like, oh, you're so stylish
I
lately,
know.
Katie.
By the way,
Oh, the
so
whole scene, it was
funny.
just like brilliant. I could just imagine it playing out. And I
Yeah.
kind of imagined the guidance counsellor as the guidance counsellor in Glee, like just totally like not quite with it. I can't remember her
Who was it?
name, but
Yeah, I've forgotten who that was. Oh,
yeah.
obviously it wasn't Sue, was it?
No, can you
She should have
imagine?
been guidance counselor.
I know. Eddie's videos, but teachers now can never get away with treating a student like that. Yeah,
Mm,
that is so. That's really very 90s, isn't it? Like a
yeah.
90s
No,
reference.
no contact. No
And,
contact.
and Emma's put, no one ever says, yes, sir, I'm on drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, do you want some? Can you imagine?
Oh, dear. Cameron's put, I think the teachers should be sued for saying that to a student in public nowadays. Yeah, it's so true. Such a 90s thing. Like, little things like
Yeah.
that you don't really think about, I think.
Yeah.
Emma's put, my teacher said some funny things in the 90s. Yeah, I've got some funny stories as well about things that went on. But they wouldn't get away with it nowadays. It's so
No,
true. And Melina's put, teachers don't tend to get a good rep in point horror books. No,
no.
they
Don't
don't.
trust the grown-ups.
No,
They've
never.
got secrets.
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
But just to finish up on Katie, so she did grow on me as I read the book.
Hmm.
So I was
I felt
initially
sorry
quite,
for her.
yeah, I felt sorry for her, and she was initially just irritated me so much, and then it was like as her strength became weak, her
Yeah.
mind became more sharp. and
Yeah.
like, and she used that to defeat the baddie. Like you said, she asked questions, and not
Yeah.
many point horror
He
girls ask the
even
questions.
Yeah, exactly. But there's one moment where she clearly isn't asking the right questions, and he says to her, like, I did the research, and by research, I mean dreams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, obviously, why wasn't the first thing you did was go to the library and look up ghost demon dream things? She just accepts it for so long.
She takes it for too long, and that's
Yeah. And all she
I'll give her
finds out in
something.
dreams is that the dog's safe,
Mm.
and she might hallucinate spiders or something.
Cobwebs on
Yeah,
her hands. Ooh.
yeah.
But yeah, it's
So it didn't help
she
much.
she did put up with it for far too long.
Yeah, she really did.
So there was lots of like scary, I'll say scary goings on, but there's quite a bit of there's a lot that happened in the book. Was there any like particular scary scenes? Because I think some of the scenes were actually quite horrifying and like quite
Yes,
scary. So was there
yes.
any like scenes that stuck out to you as like
Okay.
particularly scary?
Well, there's two. One is scary and genuinely horrifying, and one is scary and absolutely hilarious. So the horrifying one is when she has the horrible dream where her face is melting in the mirror,
Oh,
and it's like plop plop, flesh rolled from her
oh,
skull like huge blobs of hot wax. Like that was really going quite far for point
that
horror,
was
I thought.
horrifying. And then there was something about the eye socket, wasn't there? About the
Yeah,
bony socket and
yeah, and cockroaches
oh,
pouring out of her mouth.
oh yeah.
It was
I mean
great.
that
It was really
it's
poltergeist.
yeah, that's such a pure like horror image, and like for a
Yeah.
point horror as well. I thought without having like any no blood suggestion or anything, that whole scene was just ugh,
Mm. Yeah, it was great and really effective actually, and like really made me go, oh my God, because you just don't
yeah.
expect it from a point horror.
No.
Um, and the funny one was in
And
chapter 30
you're
when
gonna
she see
say
when she sees the eerie headless face floating, grinning at her through the window. And it's just like, oh, it's absolutely horrifying. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm terrified. And then it took Katie a moment to realize it was Raquel.
it's like hiya.
Let me in, it's cold
Let me in, it's
outside.
frozen.
That had me howling.
Oh, that was funny because she drops like she spends like about 2 pages putting these potato chips into this like new bowl, this brightly coloured
Mexican,
bowl
yeah,
that she's so proud that she bought from the flea market or something. And
yeah.
like she goes on and on about this bowl and putting the chips
She
in
moves it
there.
around, she takes it back, she puts it over there,
She's like,
she
oh, where
admires
should I
it,
put it?
lovely. Yeah.
And she sees the face and she's like, ah! And it's just like smashed on the floor.
One of those
And they must
classic,
have left it there the whole time because I
yeah,
don't think they even cleaned it up.
ate it off the floor. That's one of those
Oh,
classic point horror chapter cliffhangers where it's like, and a terrifying, like red-eyed face was screaming at me.
yeah.
Chapter 30. Oh, it's Raquel. Oh, okay. Shame.
Oh, it's just Raquel.
Brilliant,
Oh,
yeah.
but she's like, she's so annoyed that she's been left out in the cold.
Like a
Like,
cat. You know when cats are just like, meow, meow, let me in. Cold out.
oh, she's so annoyed. She puts up with so much, Raquel does. Oh, bless her, bless her.
So what are
Um,
your scary stuffs?
yeah, so one of mine was the shower.
Oh
The
yeah.
shower scene, because that good old Victorian plumbing in that old house
Oh yeah.
got the hot tap stuck on very, very hot. Um,
Yeah. Keeps
but
getting hotter.
it was just the whole scene. So she's in this shower, having a good old time, having a scrub a dub dub.
She's fresh from a date with Jason, isn't she?
Yes,
Because
is
she's
she? Or
thinking
she?
about
I
what a
think
lovely
she's
time they
thinking
had.
about. I think he's asked her on a date, and she's thinking about that
Mm,
or the conversation or something.
hmm.
So she's having sexy thoughts in the shower.
Getting hot.
Um, and she's obviously this has gone really sexual, but she's obviously lathering, whatever, her
I'm
hands up
glad you said it.
with all the soap. And then the shower's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. The hot water starts scalding her feet. She somehow can't turn this shower down. She tries to get out of the shower, but she can't grip the handle because
Her
of all the
skin's coming
soap.
off. No.
And with all the soap, and then she falls
Yeah.
to her knees. It's just like so over dramatic.
Carry
like
on
this
showering.
whole scene, and
Yeah.
then it was like something out of Final Destination.
Yes.
And then like for me, it was when she finally gets out of the shower. And there's like a steam written note in the mirror, which is like, waiting makes me angry. I mean, that could be anyone. That's not necessarily Heath, you know. That could have been
Yeah.
like Raquel, the
Could have
parents
been the
needing the
dad
toilet.
getting annoyed. Yeah, totally.
You know, could be
Yeah.
anyone. But she automatically thinks it's Heath.
Yeah.
But like, what gets me about that scene is if that water was that hot, wouldn't she have like burns?
Oh, yeah.
And like, and
She was just
she
being
didn't.
over dramatic, wasn't she?
Yeah, was she a bit of a drama queen there? What do we think?
Possibly.
Like, because I think she's lost it at that point.
She'll definitely be having severe issues for the rest of the book, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe she's just sort of putting it on a bit.
Emma's put the flesh falling off the eyeballs and popping out. That's just such a good scene.
So good.
She gathered books. Melina's put Sinclair Smith through all the tropes in, like literally all of the tropes.
The dog survived, but she was terrified for the dog.
Oh,
Bopper.
I was terrified. Bopper.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he loved a bit of a peanut butter sandwich, didn't he?
Yeah, she did.
Bless.
I actually forgot that it was a dog, and later on in the book, she gives it the peanut butter sandwich, and I was like, "You're giving that to a cat?" I think cats do like a bit of PB.
Well, yeah. I was going to say my cats eat anything. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Karen's put the one page of face melt was so WTF.
So
and
good.
She was shocked. The
that
rats,
was worth reading the book alone.
The rats is scary. What was the rats? I don't remember that one. I mean, the rat scratching at the beginning.
Was there was there a rat?
I can't remember. There was so much that went on in this book.
I know.
Like, it was really hard.
Yeah, there's tons going on.
Lisa from B for Books put, oh my God, I was well annoyed she broke the bowl.
Oh no, I can't bear it.
The bowl.
Yeah.
Karen's put, maybe Raquel actually just hated her and was sneaking about being creepy and sneaking her hallucinogens in her soda. That's what I hoped the twist would be at the end. I hoped it was going to be her.
Is the best friend, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sneaky best friend.
Emma's put lavering herself up in the volcanic shower. I mean, that shower scene was hilarious. But there was a couple of other scenes as well. There was the fact that, this is what I mean by Katie was actually quite smart, because she kind of hoodwinked us as a reader by that tape recorder, because she is crawling up the stairs. She's been pulled into this like dream-like state by Heath because he's peed off. He hasn't seen her for like however long she's been trying to stay awake. And somehow, unbeknownst to us, she sneaks this tape recorder and manages to press record, even though we know she's like super sleepy and tired.
Yeah.
And she manages to record Heath's voice. And I thought that was like really clever. And it was obviously very Nightmare on Elm Street, like with the hat.
Yeah,
similar.
Bring it out of the nightmare.
Yeah, so she's bringing the voice out of the nightmare. And honestly, I just thought that whole scene was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant.
Great. And I love that his voice came through in all caps. I don't like being jerked around. You better start keeping your end of the bargain. It's brilliant. There was some
And
cool stuff in this book, like the fact that he could
yeah,
destroy things. Like he destroys the
the
love
love
letter that she tricks
letter,
him into writing.
sets it
Katie
on
Blue, I love you.
fire.
Uh, Destroys a tape recorder. He destroys something else as well.
Katie
Tries to.
tries to, but she's too.
Damn
Yeah, he
hard, yeah.
does do something else. Can't remember what it was now. Um,
Oh well.
oh, Emma's put. I thought we was talking about the Rats novel. The book is scary.
Uh
Oh, that is scary. That book.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is really scary.
Um, but what I also loved as well, and Kevin from Tokyo Rewind, he'll probably watch this back because he of the time difference where he is, he never catches the lives. But he messaged me and said how much he did really like this, and he loved all the way that Katie was like spiraling out of control,
Mm,
and it made him nervous whilst he was reading it. And like what she went through with the sleep and then trying not to sleep and then covering her tiredness and the bags under her eyes, which we all tried to do, but it never
oh
works.
yeah.
But everything that Heath did and the energy it took, and that he was like really good and quite smart.
Mm,
So I thought that was
yeah,
quite interesting. So,
yeah. The
but
stakes were pretty high,
yes,
and
yeah, it's,
he seemed unbeatable. Apart
yeah.
from if he'd remembered that she kind of stepped into the other side of the street quite early on, you kind of like you just know that's going to come back at some point.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but he did seem really powerful,
Yeah.
and yeah, so
Were you a fan of Heath? What did you like him?
I thought he was quite interesting, like just as a really nasty piece of work.
Mm,
He, yeah, I was surprised at how quickly he did actually just reveal himself as an absolute psychopath, because it's
mm.
pretty much the second time they meet that he starts ripping up the rose bush and like,
Oh
ha
yeah.
ha, I've got you some flowers, ha ha ha, like laughing, and she's like, no, I'm gonna hurt myself.
Gonna cut
Um,
myself on those
yeah,
thorns.
so I was surprised that he revealed himself that quickly, but it was quite interesting that he did, because then you're like, well, where's this book going to go then? Because I thought
Yeah.
she was going to sort of be in love with him for ages, and then suddenly he turns out to be evil. But no, he's pretty much
Yeah.
evil from the start.
Yes,
Um,
because it was quite interesting that straight away he's
mm,
the bad guy. He's not written to be likable.
no,
He's got all these toxic traits, which I think even as a teen, I think I would have recognised that that wasn't right. Do you know what I
mm.
mean? Like that he was obviously
Anyone who
written
rides a
that way.
motorbike is
Oh,
just up to no good, aren't they?
well, yeah, yeah. But I think it was clever to do that because you just hate him off the bat, and like with
Yeah,
his like creepiness, like I'm just a bad boy, and
yeah.
just keep being my special girl. Like,
Oh,
oh,
so gross.
so like I kind
Yeah,
of think like even young me would realise that that wasn't right.
yeah. It's a clever
And
idea because it really is playing into that sort of giving a teenager what they think they want, and then actually it turns out to be the absolute worst thing that could have happened.
mm,
Um, and yeah, I did think he was quite a good villain. He was genuinely, you never really knew what he was going to do next. He seemed inescapable. He's on the
yeah,
phone after that rosebush thing. He's on the phone immediately, and
yeah,
it's like, what? Um,
yeah,
yeah, it was great. I really liked that, and kind of the fact that he then basically just wants to use her to bring himself back to life.
mm,
It's great. It's such a great depiction of like a really awful relationship. It's like
yeah,
he's a parasite. He's feeding off her, and to become stronger, he's basically sort of like beating her to feel like a man, essentially. So it's
mm,
actually really quite a potent sort of setup.
yeah.
She's the delivery is obviously very cheesy because it's point horror, but in the essence of it, it is quite horrifying.
Yeah, and I think for a point horror as well, it was kind of risky. I don't know
Yeah,
whether, do you know what I mean? Because not many, you normally get your point horror boys like Frank from April Fools, he's
yeah,
just, ugh, roll your
yeah.
eyes. But that kind
Or
of
like, what's his
happens.
name in Babysitter, who's just like this adorable nerd.
Oh, what's his
Is it
name?
Chuck?
Chuck.
Yeah,
Oh, little Chuck.
yeah.
Who he does remind me of Adam Devine, though, like serious. I'm not just bringing him up, he does. But that's who I would imagine playing him. But yeah, like, but but with them, like it grows over time. They're not instantly dislikable like Heath, and I think that is
Mm.
it's quite a risky move, and it does pay off.
Yeah, it does.
Um,
It does kind of. The book does address, in some way, like sexual awakening and like frustration. Like
mm.
the mum's reading that book that's like something
Oh, the
ravish me, or
smutty,
the
smutty book.
smutty book.
Oh, I think I wrote it down because it had such a funny title. I've got to
Yeah, I've
find
got it
it.
here
Just
somewhere.
is it called something like Passion, Raging
Love's
Passion?
raging passion. So like their relationship clearly has no passion in it whatsoever, and Katie's dreaming of passion, and she
Yeah.
gets it, and she gets burned. She gets burned.
But yeah, it was just such an interesting concept. I really
I've got a
liked it for that
question.
reason. Yeah.
Do you think that Randy Marks tampered with Heath's bike, and that's why he died?
Yes. I
Mm.
think so because it was quite evident. So in the past, when Heath died, it was quite evident that he really wasn't liked,
Yeah,
and people hated him. So I think there's a whole another point horror there that we didn't get, like a bit of a backstory.
totally.
But yeah, I think definitely it
Because
was done
he,
sabotage.
yeah, because Heath is going after Cindy, but Cindy ends up spending the entire dance with Randy. Cindy and
Mm.
Randy. Oh my God. What a world. What a world.
And so 90s.
Yeah, brilliant. There's no Barbie, big surprise. Um, so yeah, I definitely think that Randy just got really pissed off and decided to teach Heath a lesson, which would kind of explain why he's so angry and so he's not moved on or anything, because as we all know,
Mm.
ghosts have unfinished business.
Oh, yes, before they can
Yeah,
move on. But yeah,
exactly.
I do think that. Um,
Mm,
Raj has put Heath needed anger management sessions. He really did. He was
absolutely.
so angry.
Oh no.
And Emma put, I thought he got nasty really quick.
Yeah.
Um, Books Bethany Reads put, I was hoping for more of a slow burn from him. That's really interesting.
Mm,
But that's why I think this book was quite risky because just off the bat, it's just
yeah.
horrible, horrible.
I was really
Um,
expecting it to be a slow burn book, and it wasn't at all. It just raced through the plot.
yeah, like it didn't stop,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
constant.
yeah.
Um, Lune's put it's quite a scary overall concept to not be able to resist sleep and know at some point you'll have to go there. That is
Mm.
just it is a scary thought.
Oh God, yeah.
Um, which is why A Nightmare on Elm Street, in my opinion, did so well because it just plays into that psyche of everything's just
You have to
scary,
go to sleep no matter what.
terrified.
Yeah.
Inside the cover, I think Heath was quite dominating, and I really didn't like him. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't like him at
No,
all.
no.
And I can't forgive him for that kitten scene as well. I can't go into it, but that
Oh
kitten scene was just
yeah.
that was unnecessary.
I actually had completely forgotten about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
was like,
horrible.
no, that's horrible. Why?
A sweet
Why?
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it was to prove he was nasty, but we kind of already knew that. I don't think we needed
Yeah.
the kitten scene because
It's
that
like he's not.
happens
She
quite
has to keep
towards the end.
reminding us he's nasty. No, he really is nasty. No, this guy is
Yeah.
irredeemable. He will
It's like,
pick you
yeah,
up.
we get the idea. Just we want you to get away from him. We get it.
Yeah.
We get it, Katie.
Yeah.
Emma's put, I would have liked him to be a little more love bombing at the start. Yeah, it's just
Hmm.
interesting why Sinclair Smith made this character off the bat so horrible.
Do you think it's
Um,
because there were, this is quite a late point horror, isn't it? It's 93.
Yeah.
So do you not think maybe that's because there was so many previous sort of like love themed point horror books that kind of
Mm.
had, did the boyfriend do that? A little bit of love bombing?
A
Can't
little bit,
remember
I
now.
think. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think he was like turning up at her window.
Mm,
Dexter was, and giving her
yeah.
phone calls, and there was dates right from the very beginning and things like that. So I think it was just Joanna was just awful
Yeah.
to
Love
everyone.
Joanna.
Love Joanna.
My favorite.
But yeah, but I think it was interesting, and I have to admit, Sinclair Smith's point horrors are a little bit different. I'm going to go
Mm,
out there and say that I do think they are not different as Caroline B. Cooney is, like
yeah.
quirkiness, but just different as in pushing boundaries. And
Mm,
I think maybe initially as a teen, I didn't like that. I did with The
yeah.
Waitress, but I didn't on the rereads. I don't think it clicked, but I think I might click now. It's weird. I don't know.
There's
Your
no
taste
there's no
change.
bio. Normally they have author bios, but there's nothing for Sinclair
Yeah,
Smith.
I've tried finding so much out about Sinclair Smith, and I just come.
It
I
must
can't
be
find anything.
it must be a pseudonym. It must be sort of
Yeah, it's gotta be.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Secrets.
Um, so Karen's put. I'm a bit behind in the comments, but Karen's put. I didn't get why she liked him straight off without him doing something lovely first and not being slimy. Yeah, because he literally did
Because
nothing
he's terribly
nice
good looking, that's why. He's got,
on his
he's got thick
motorbike.
dark hair that's windblown from the ride, you know.
Yeah, and he wasn't wearing a helmet.
Oh
Safety
well,
first, you
that's all that
know.
he did. She says that he's hypnotic, doesn't she? Like she finds him just she's immediately under his spell.
Yeah,
Um,
just
love at
completely.
first sight, isn't it? Lust at first sight.
um, Marzipan Ponies, but we need a prequel. We really do. I think they
Mm,
missed a trick there. Not going into that whole backstory for
mm.
him. Definitely.
I was waiting for that moment where she suddenly saw something that told him that he was a ghost. And it was quite
Mm,
random that it was suddenly in Raquel's sister's yearbook. But, you know,
mm.
they
Just
had to get through it, didn't they?
there had to be a reason.
Yeah.
Had to be a reason.
I love how they were like, Raquel's like, oh, I totally forgot this, but actually, Cindy used to live in your house. I feel like you
Yeah.
probably would have known that the second someone new moved in.
Oh,
But, oh, Raquel.
yeah, Raquel.
Excellent.
So Marzipan Ponies, but I think the fact it's a short book, there isn't much time for character development.
No.
So yeah, I agree. I agree on that. So talking about Raquel, I've
Mm.
got to give her a mention because I think we needed more Raquel. I liked her.
She wasn't in
What?
it that much, was she?
No. What did you think? What did you like her?
I thought she was pretty standard, kind of best friend
Just.
fare.
Yeah.
I thought the most interesting thing about her was that her name was Rachel, but she went by Raquel.
Only
And
Rachel to the teachers.
yeah, and that she's dating a guy called Max with two X's, who's in a band called Wax with two X's.
That was the. I
Genius.
needed more info there
I
because that
know.
was just like genius
Yeah,
and totally something that teen Shelley would be like. Oh, I'm into wax.
yeah. I love Wax. Wax on,
Yeah.
wax off. There was something a little bit tragic about her. I felt a little bit sorry for her. I wasn't entirely convinced that Max was her boyfriend. She said
Ah.
this, but Rachel's what's her name? Katie said Katie's only ever seen her with Max once before.
Mm.
And so I think that Rachel is a bit like, I've got a boyfriend too, and he can come round to your house. Oh, he's busy. Just like typical, standard teen kind of love
Yeah.
nonsense. Yeah.
Just like making him up, like, because I mean, really, Max from Wax. I mean,
Yeah.
I just need more info there.
Yeah. I
Um,
thought she was sweet. She was very complimentary. She kept commenting on Katie's lovely clothes,
but
which is
then
obviously
on the
great.
on the other hand, she did she did keep commenting on how much Katie looked tired and like,
Yeah.
oh, just don't worry, you look absolutely knackered, but a bit of
You look
makeup.
wasted.
You look wasted, Katie. What's going on?
Yeah.
But
But
she
that's a
seemed
good
to,
friend.
yeah, that's a good friend. She
Like,
seemed to
what's up? You
notice
look
more.
absolutely awful.
I think the best one was when Katie says before the party she wants to go and have a nap.
Yeah.
In other words, she wants to go and have sexy times with Heath.
Hmm.
And like Raquel's
Raquel's
like,
no.
a nap? My 80-year-old grandmother takes naps. And I was like,
I'm like,
oh
this
dear.
38-year-old guy takes naps. It's great.
I was like, can you imagine what Raquel would say to us? She'd be
I
like
know.
disgusted.
Yeah.
Gotta have a nap. But yeah, so she 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 was complimentary, and on the other hand, she was saying these things. But as you say, I think she was doing it in all good friend vibes,
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
put up a lot with what Katie being grumpy and like
I
snapping
know.
at her, and
And she's very like really understanding. Like she says, "Oh, that's okay. I knew something had to be the matter. Even though you've just absolutely torn my head off. It's
yeah.
fine. It's fine. You're my friend."
But then I kind of like that as well because it seemed like a bit of a healthy friendship, which
Yeah.
we sort of don't normally get in point horror. Normally, it's either the best friend did it, or
Mm.
like there's like this toxic, friendship kind of
Yeah.
going on. But
Frenemies.
yeah, but with like this, I thought, oh, actually, it's quite sweet. They talk their issues through,
Yeah.
resolve it, and they're still friends. And I just, yeah, I
Yes.
kind of liked it.
There's depth to it, and yeah, she's not the. So the best friend in point horror is normally either like a figure of envy, so somebody who's beautiful and has a boyfriend and a car and just amazing and rich and blah blah blah, or they're
Mm,
like absolute sort of mess, like nerdy
yeah,
mess.
yeah,
And Raquel is just sort of like in the middle there somewhere, where she's just a bit of like a regular teenager,
yeah, yeah.
which is
I
nice.
kind of liked her. She was very judgy on Katie getting the snacks for the movie night. She was
When she got
like,
a massive bag of
"You've
chips.
got a massive bag of potato chips and 2 bottles of soda." Oh, that's disgusting. I
Yeah.
was like, you should see my shopping cart when I need to have like junk food.
But shall I get the litre or the
Judgy.
three? I mean, it's cheaper to get the 3 litre overall, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and the standard pack of chocolate buttons, or the
Giant.
share bag, which I don't share. It's
No
just
one
for me.
shares the bags of buttons. Nobody. I'm sorry.
No.
No. It's one
So
each.
she was very very judgy, and there's this whole thing as well about her wearing this like hat and scarf, and I was a bit like, why now are we like talking about this hat and scarf?
Yeah.
I think it was
I,
like
I
this
did.
huge hat and multicolored scarf.
I did think that Sinclair Smith was a bit mean about her. Like when you first meet her, she describes her and says she's got black hair, a red mouth, and unusual shoes.
Yeah, you can't just leave it at unusual shoes. I
Yeah, give
think
us
we
more information.
we needed more information on the
Yeah.
unusual shoes. Were they like what
Backwards?
were
What
they?
were they? Were they bags? Were they shopping bags?
Were
What
they
were
shopping bags? Oh gosh, yeah, we definitely needed more elaboration.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
weird.
For all
Um,
the detail we got about Katie's just like beautiful new clothes, what about poor old Raquel
I
and her
know,
unusual
bless her.
shoes?
Oh dear. Perhaps she didn't need shoes because when she appeared at the window, she was actually
Yeah,
hovering like the devil.
yeah. I'm so cold.
Let me in.
Oh, it's Raquel.
um, oh, it's only Michael. Oh God, that scene. I'm not over it. I'm not over it.
Yeah,
Um,
funny. And then we're
Luna's book
watching
with.
Psycho, which is great.
Oh my gosh, how did we forget about
That
that
was
scene?
brilliant.
That whole
When Heath is
scene.
in Psycho, perfect.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
speaks to me.
what scene in Psycho? He was looking for a peephole at one of the
Yeah,
guests, wasn't he? Norman Bates.
it's before the shower
Um,
scene,
yes, got it.
I think.
Yes, yeah, I think it was. But
Yeah.
can you imagine? like you're in that much of a spiral, you're sleep deprived, you've got this crazed nightmare bloke from your dreams like stalking you, and then you're watching a film having a bit of a chillax with your chips and
Watching a
stuff,
scary film.
and then this white lightning strikes in her head and he
Yeah.
turns into, so Norman Bates, who is scary enough, turns
Hmm.
into Heath. And it's
With like a white halo of fire around his head, it says, I think. It's like, what?
oh, so yeah, I'm just seeing if I wrote
Brilliant.
anything else about that scene, because that scene was like,
It was so
wow,
good.
scary.
Yeah.
It was scary. So just seeing if I wrote anything. So what have I put? I've put so Norman Bates stops spying on his guests and talks as Heath, which I'm guessing his head is on Norman Bates' body, and that's just like
Mm.
horrifying. So he talks directly from the TV to Katie, because
Yeah.
she's got Jason there.
Yeah,
That's the love
another horror
interest,
movie
isn't it?
reference.
Yeah, and he's like through the TV. He's like, "You shouldn't be letting him kiss you. You
Oh,
shouldn't be letting him touch you. You belong to me. You're my girl, my special girl."
oh, so gross.
But Katie doesn't even like scream. Like
She's
she's just
frozen in
like,
fear. She's paralyzed.
I mean, would she scream or
And
would
also,
she
she's sort of
like?
like, isn't she sort of like, Jason's got his arm around her, he's quite hunky. She doesn't want to like disrupt this sort of little corner of gorgeousness that's going on.
Oh dear. Oh, I love Eddie's videos, but I'm going to venture out and say Raquel might have had a crush on Katie. Yes.
Ooh.
I like
I
that.
love a queer reading.
I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Because
Ah.
she's always like, you look amazing, like sartorially.
Yeah.
So
Um,
maybe.
yeah, I should have gone down that route, but
Yeah.
point horror back then we
Yeah.
didn't get you know,
Gay rap.
things like that.
No.
Sad. But I'll just put I would have bought 3 times the amount of snacks. Totally. Oh, I'm with
Movie
you.
night.
Yeah, you know, everything
Hmm.
until you feel
And she
sick.
lives out in the bloody middle of nowhere, so you want to make sure you've got enough.
Yeah.
You can't nip to the
Yeah.
corner shop.
Oh, and Eddie's videos put, oh my God, I actually started listening to Psycho soundtrack after they mentioned it. Went really well with the rest of the
Mm,
story.
I bet,
Oh,
yeah.
creepy,
Diddly
creepy.
diddly 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 diddly.
I was just going to say, I can't think how it goes, but now you've done it, it's come back to me like,
It's a bit like the Wizard of Oz, weirdly.
yeah, yeah. She gathered books that says Katie is paralysed with pain and fear. Yeah, I was a bit like, why doesn't she scream and like throw the popcorn in the air or something?
She's conflicted. She's got a lot going on, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
so
It's a
obviously,
tricky situation.
yeah. Obviously in that scene, following that scene, actually, he does like this weird voice takeover, and that's when he's trying to gain that
Yeah.
that strength. So, and I
Again, I
thought that
say
was
Freddy
like,
Krueger.
yeah, Freddy Krueger, or like The Exorcist
Yeah.
kind of vibes, and
That was
like,
great when she's just like,
yeah, no,
don't do it.
should have done that all the way through though. Just don't speak to him.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, bless.
Because
But
doesn't she insult the checkout guy, Jimmy, at the cash register in the
yeah,
supermarket?
oh yeah, and then she just runs off without taking her extra snacks that she was buying.
Yeah. And then she yells like, "Give me the mustard" or something when she's in the canteen.
Give me the mustard.
Show me the money.
Oh, she was vile when she was tired, wasn't she?
Oh yeah.
And like when she made that coffee, like because she's never made coffee before,
She's only
and
just turned 17.
and can you imagine how potent that coffee was with the amount of coffee she
Oh,
put in the coffee?
I'm surprised she didn't have an accident. Like, that's not good for your stomach.
I mean, I'm not a coffee drinker,
Mm.
but one of my friends who I used to work with, she once bought this coffee called Rocket Fuel,
Oh
and
no.
she was like, she had a cup of it, and she was like, I don't feel like it's like woke me up or anything, because I think she was like hungover or something. So I don't think it's woke me up. So she had another cup, but she put 2 spoonfuls of it
Oh
in.
my
Oh my life.
What
She
happened?
was hyper.
Oh,
I've never seen someone on such like a coffee high
oh
before in
God.
all my life. It was an interesting work
Was it
day
like
that day.
was it like Roger Rabbit when he drinks
Yeah,
alcohol?
honestly, it was like, yeah, for once in my life, I was like, didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't know what to do.
The best thing you could do is just knock them out.
Is she going to live the rest of the day? Like, oh dear, it was like
Oh
dangerous stuff,
no,
that was.
yeah.
Yeah. um, but yeah, so whilst they were watching this film, she was obviously with the love interest of the book, which is Jason Miller,
Yeah.
with his like deep masculine voice and his like muscly arms and
His
deep
incredible deep
brown,
brown eyes.
amazing eyes.
Yeah. Almost took her
Um,
breath away.
oh, I mean, I was a bit smitten for a
He
little
seemed really
while.
sweet.
Was he sweet or was he creepy?
Was he creepy?
Because he says he says some like weird things. Like, I think I wrote them down.
I
Like,
just put that
I,
down to the 90s.
but I was trying to think, like, if someone said this to me, I'm not sure whether it's just because I'm older now that I just find it
Uh,
creepy. But he was like, are you sure you're just not playing hard to get? If you are, it won't do you any good because I'm going to be very
oh
persistent."
yeah. I
And
think
then,
that kind of line really depends on how attractive a man is. If they're
yeah,
like drop dead gorgeous, you're like, oh yes. But if they're not, it's like, okay, I'm gonna call the
no.
cops. Yeah.
And then I think he's like, you may be sensible and serious, but that's not the way I describe that dress you're wearing, and that's not the way it
Oh,
makes me feel.
oh. He's just really clumsy. Like his poem,
Oh,
he writes her a love
oh,
poem.
it's poem.
Shall I read it out?
Oh, yeah, go on. I present Josh reading poetry.
A rose is beautiful, so are diamonds and pearls. Katie Shaw, would you be my girl?
He didn't even get it to rhyme. It's like, no. I just,
Oh,
it would be a no from me because
so sweet.
he didn't make the effort. He literally just wrote lines on a piece of paper.
But he
He didn't
did
even
make the
get them to
effort.
rhyme.
Yeah. He's a jock. What does he know? He's so out of his depth.
Oh, it's just no.
Jason, no.
No. But the scene that made me laugh with Jason was the car
Oh yeah.
scene. So he's about to
Oh,
so he's about to have his first kiss with Katie after they've been on the date where he took her to a posh restaurant using
yes.
his birthday money. Oh, I feel like I've been a bit harsh on him.
You have. He took her to a posh restaurant, not some, cheap old pizzeria,
No.
slicery.
I need
He
to
took her to
like
a real restaurant.
I need to photograph that page and text it to my husband to give him
Yeah.
like hints that I don't want to go to Pizza Hut. Posh restaurant,
Yeah,
just
from
like
now on, I
Jason.
want steak and red wine.
Yes.
Not
But
great.
yeah, I feel like I've been harsh on him now because he did use his birthday money, but
Yeah.
it just made me laugh because the car starts a rocking because
Oh,
Heath
yeah.
comes a knocking.
Yes.
But he was just because he was pissed off that
Yeah.
they were like about to have their first smooch.
The
And
radio's all
then,
like, wow, 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 wow,
yeah,
wow.
but the radio predicts the future because one of the lines was like, "Oh, baby, baby." And Britney Spears hadn't released that song then.
Oh.
That's how I read it. But
Sinclair. Maybe Sinclair Smith is Britney Spears.
now, wouldn't that be a plot twist? That's like right out of a point horror.
At this stage, I'll believe anything.
Oh, and me. Oh god, but no, that whole scene just made me laugh. So maybe I didn't give him enough credit.
Yeah, give him a second
Maybe.
chance. He takes Freddie home when he's drunk.
Oh yeah, he
and
does.
he doesn't just sort of like decide to stay the night when the parents aren't home. He goes home, but then he does have an accident in the
Mm.
car.
Oh yeah, he
So
does, doesn't he? So he
yeah,
crashes the car into a tree,
yeah,
and like that confused me a bit because sometimes he was awake and sometimes he was in a coma, and I wasn't quite
yeah,
sure. But at the end of the book, he's alive, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
She says something like, "Oh, I'm still friends with Jason and Raquel.
Oh, she friend zoned
He's coming
him.
over tonight," she says. Jason got well.
Oh,
He's coming over tonight. There you
oh.
go.
So real life sexy times, not
Yeah.
dreams. um, but Bethany Reads has put, I love that she had to hide the fact she was drinking coffee at school. Like, oh shit,
Yeah.
I'd better hide my thermos or everyone will know about my scary dream man. So
Like that bit in
true.
Nightmare on Elm Street when her mum takes the coffee machine out of the bedroom and then she has
Yeah.
another coffee machine hidden next to the bed.
Oh,
A
yeah.
full
Oh,
pot of coffee. Yeah.
hilarious. Luna's put, ooh, that dress comment. Yeah, see, that dress comment just
Mm.
like,
I
I
mean,
was just
that's
like,
pretty gross.
I mean, not that anyone used to say things like that to me at school because I was just a nerd.
Yeah.
But like, if someone did say that to me at school, I think I'd just be like, oh
Yeah.
no, just go away. um, and Leona's put, I'm surprised Heath doesn't visit him in his coma dreams.
Well, that was what I
Yeah,
was going to say because he talks to Jason through Katie's mouth and says like, "Oh, we're
yeah,
gonna have some fun," and he does add like, "We're gonna find some girls who actually know how to have a nice time." But I was a
mm,
bit like, firstly, I mean, why can't they just be queer? That's fine.
yeah,
But secondly, what's his actual plan? I didn't fully understand. Was he gonna, because he kind of talked about it in that he was gonna put Katie in a coma and then he was just gonna draw energy from her to get strong. But then he was using
yeah.
her to talk, so he already kind of had access to her body. So it would have been, I think, a cooler ending would have been if he had ended up sort of possessing her body.
Yeah, I think that
Um,
would have been cool.
yeah,
And like, how would it work? Because so this is what I think about. So if she was in a coma for so long, what was if the parents sounds awful? What was if the parents turned the life support off?
I
What would
know.
happen to him?
No, that's what she
Like,
says. She does go like, "Oh, what if I got cremated?"
yeah.
It's like, hang on, we've gone from life support machine to suddenly I'm cremated.
But
Okay.
she's being practical
Yeah,
in what she's saying. She's thinking about these things, and
true.
we can't knock her for that. But
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
How would that even?
I feel
Yeah,
like he's got a very flawed plan, but
it
also
was flawed.
we're dealing with forces beyond our comprehension. So, whatever he says goes.
Yeah, yeah. So what did you think of the actual real ending? So we've obviously got this whole Katie running down a field. So
Yeah.
she's pinched. No, she hasn't pinched the necklace. He's given her this necklace to look at because she's
The
asked.
medal, is it a medal?
Yeah, it's like, and it's got like a
She's like,
cat
"Oh,
on.
that's
Funny
nice.
enough.
Can I try it on? I'm just going to go and look in the mirror." I mean, he really deserved to lose for that because that's such a barefaced trick. Oh, I like your
Oh,
medal.
I think, and it had like a panther or some type of cat
Yeah,
on it, and that was just like so
yeah.
gangster.
And was that like the source of his power? Because then when
But
she
that's what I didn't.
burns it,
I didn't understand that.
it was
I
a big
understand.
leap. It was a bold, big, bold leap. I didn't really understand it.
I was really confused about the medal thing. I was like, because it got mentioned earlier on in the book, but essentially he dies, doesn't he, by this motorbike chase. That Katie always seemed to be ahead of the motorbike, even when he
Hmm.
was like virtually on top
It's a
of
ghost
that. And
bike.
and he obviously flies, loses control, I think, and like goes across the road where he died, which like banishes him back to hell or wherever he belongs. But
Mm,
what was the relevance of the medal? I was
very
I
confusing.
was so confused.
Very confusing.
But that whole motorbike scene across the field at the end was, I thought that was quite dramatic, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh god, like, and she was like checking over her shoulder to see if
Mm,
he'd noticed that she was running across this field. I mean, she was running across that field for quite a while.
a big field.
It must have been massive.
Yeah.
And then obviously he comes after her on the motorbike, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, and she does this thing like when he's like virtually on top of her, she like doubles back, but then
Hmm.
somehow then manages to turn, and she's almost closer to the road than she was in the first place.
Yeah.
I feel
She
the
hangs a
ending had
Yui.
plot holes.
It was, yeah, I'm still not 100% clear on what happened, but it
Yeah.
it seemed like they could have just had it that he was afraid to go into that side of the road, and she manages to make him do that. She didn't need the whole medal thing. That just was so completely random.
I don't get the medal.
No,
I
it doesn't make
don't
any
get it.
sense.
No.
I feel like
Maybe she
that's
just
maybe a
want maybe she wanted like a trophy of her victim
maybe.
or something. Maybe there's other people that she dreams of, so she collects their trophies just to kill them off.
She's got her wooden box full of
That
weird
she keeps like in
mementos.
the basement,
Yeah.
in a coffee pot in the basement.
Yeah.
Um, so, but Bethany Reed just put, I love that she was sleep deprived and slower than him.
Oh my
like,
God, yeah.
like, well, she seemed fast. I think she seemed faster than him. Like, she was, she must have been high on that coffee. Like,
Oh
because
yeah.
like, how can she outrun a
In her
motorbike
long white dress.
in her long? Now, was she in the white dress? Because that didn't get
Mm.
mentioned. Because it got covered in blood at some point, didn't
Did,
it? As
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Mm.
did you like the end though? Did you think it was fitting for the book, other than the flaws that we
Yeah.
found?
It wasn't my favorite ending.
No.
And I thought it was kind of, I was hoping for something a bit more interesting in terms of like, oh, he's just a ghost. Sort of that was seeded really, really early on. Um, and so when it turns out he is a ghost, it's like, well, yeah, she's in a haunted house. Clearly, he's a ghost. So that was kind
Mm.
of a shame. I kind of hoped it would be a bit different from that, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'm hoping for that. I was hoping for the ending that you said about that she actually got put in a coma and he like came to life or
yeah,
something.
I would have
Would
loved
have been
that.
so cool.
Yeah.
Um, but Bethany Reed's, was she not trying to bring it back to the waking world to really hurt him? Oh, the
Oh,
medal.
yeah.
Maybe. So I got very confused. I
Yeah, I
was
didn't follow the logic
like,
massively.
and Cameron's put, wait, Shelley, are you saying she's the Sam and Dean supernatural of dreams? Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
she's the
She
dream
was.
master.
You never know.
Katie,
Maybe
the
that's
dream
where
master.
they got their idea from,
Yeah,
Katie.
maybe. I feel
Um,
like this book has so much stuff in it that ended up in Charmed. It's hilarious. I feel like they
yeah.
must they must have been a fan of this book, surely.
Oh, so what bits did you pick up on that ended up in Charmed? Because you know Charmed so well, like better than me.
Yeah. Well, there is an episode about dreams. Oh,
Yeah, I think I
that's
remember that.
that's the twist that I was kind of expecting was going to happen. Was I
Mm.
thought that maybe he would end up being somebody in a coma, like in Buffy, because in the Buffy episode where all the nightmares come to life, it's a little boy who's in a coma in hospital because he was beaten by his coach. And so he's like
Mm.
processing his trauma out in the real world because he's in a coma. So I was kind of expecting he to maybe be that, but he was just a ghost. Um, but yeah, there's an episode of Charmed that is all about, it's called The Dream Sorcerer, and it's about a guy. I think he's in a wheelchair, and so he's sort of living like an able-bodied life in his dreams or something. And he ends up like
Oh.
seducing Prue, and she has to find a way to defeat him, and she ends up in like a car accident because she falls asleep at the
Vaguely remember
wheel.
that.
So there's that one, and then there's the fear demon episode in season one where Prue's in
Yes.
the shower and the shower fills up with water and she's like drowning in the shower. It's actually quite terrifying.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then the
So they
black and
must have
white
read Point Horror.
characters. Yeah, like the whole Psycho, the bit with the character going into Psycho. There's an episode
Mm.
of Charmed called Chick Flick, which is all about Phoebe's favorite movie, which is called Kill It. Is it called Kill It Before It Dies? I think it is, or something similar to that. And
Yeah.
it's like a black and white horror movie, and the characters come out of the horror movie, and they are black and white.
Ooh.
So yeah, there's lots of little things that weirdly ended up in Charmed from this book.
I need
Kind of
to.
cool.
It's been so many years since I watched Charmed. I need
I
to
think it is all
rewatch it.
on. It's all on Prime right now. The whole lot
Ah,
in the
okay.
UK.
Well, know what I'm going to be watching
Mm.
next
We've
then.
got Charmed and Sabrina, the original Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's all on Prime at the moment. What a time to
Ooh.
be alive.
I know. I was just going to say the same thing. What a time!
And Supernatural is on Prime too right now. I feel like they just bought all of the great sort of Supernatural TV shows.
Yeah. Oh, I love
Brilliant.
Supernatural. Love it, love it, love
Yeah.
it. So Luna's put, I wanted him to possess Jason in his coma, and then Katie could have battled him out again.
Yeah.
Books Bethany reads, because he got really hurt when she brought back the letter. I don't know, by the end. I was just like, this is all stupid. So what else? It was a great, crazy ending. Yeah, Charmed rewatch. It's gotta happen, you know.
Yes.
It's gotta happen.
When Charmed was good, it was brilliant, and when it was bad, it was awful.
Yeah,
So
I
it
watched
hits
it.
high, but it drops down low as well.
I don't ever remember getting to the end of Charmed. Like,
Mm,
I watched, like, obviously the first few seasons, and then I don't know, it lost its way a little bit, and I just kind of lost attention on it.
mm.
And I don't think I watched those last few episodes,
Oh.
or last season, or something
It,
like that.
it goes out
But
pretty good.
yeah, I do. I'm gonna definitely rewatch it because I loved it. It was like one of my
Yeah.
favourites. Had like all the DVDs and
I've still got them. They're in the background of that dream
oh
date picture that I took. The box
oh,
that's behind me are Charmed, yeah.
we'll have to have a little look. So oh my gosh, I just looked at the time. Like
Oh,
honestly, I've lost track of time.
gosh.
It's like,
Having
so
so much fun.
I know. So overall, then, was Dream Date a hit or a miss?
It was a hit, I think.
Yeah, I think like
Yeah,
in a weird way, and I never expected to say this because I honestly thought I was gonna hate it
yeah.
just from past experience, as I said with Sinclair Smith. But I actually kind of liked it in a weird way.
It was quite a wild ride. It
Yeah,
didn't, it didn't ever stop. It was like full pedal to the metal. It just went for it.
yeah,
The ending was a bit meh, but I
yeah. We've found
thought
plot holes, haven't
we've
we?
definitely found some
We've
holes
found plot
there.
holes.
Yeah, but overall, I thought it was
But
good fun.
yeah, and as I say, I kind of like the fact that you knew the boy was toxic from the start, and you recognised it, and you were repulsed by him. But it had some really good like horror moments, and as I
Mm,
say, with no blood or like actual gore, other than obviously the eye socket and
face
things. But
thing.
but it just had these like really kind of iconic horror moments, I think. And I
Yeah,
definitely think Sinclair Smith was a horror movie fan, and definitely loved A Nightmare on Elm Street and
oh yeah,
Psycho. There's so
absolutely.
many references. But Karen's put a ridiculous hit. Raj
Oh,
has put a hit. I enjoyed it. Inside the cover, I loved Dream Date. Had great fun. Marzipan Ponies put hit. I liked it. It had its issues, like why are you bothering with this jerk? But it was good. And Book Bethany Reeves has put there was a lot that made no sense and totally stupid, but I did have fun. And like I think that's the whole thing with point horror. Like yeah, we know there's issues in some of these point horrors. You know, they're written in the 90s, there's issues, but at the end of the day, it's just good fun.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that's all you can ask for sometimes.
Yeah, I
And
couldn't
that's what I
say it
need
any
to
better than that.
and that's what I need to remember next time I read a Sinclair Smith instead of like
Mm,
judging a bit harshly. But we'll see what happens when we read another one.
absolutely.
Holding out hope. I'm looking at the boy next door like
Uh,
but we'll see. Yeah, I kind of hated the characters but enjoyed the content, yeah. But at least the characters were written to a point that you're not really meant to like them.
yeah. They all
Yeah.
say each other's names a lot. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, Katie, no, you can't do that. Oh, Raquel, but Katie, you can't." I was like, "Yeah, we know your names. Come on."
I think that's a very point horror thing, though. Like, I
Yeah,
do notice that names are like brought up so much, like Camp Fear. Like, I got so confused with all the characters, even though they said their names like about a million times. Like,
yeah,
oh, it's crazy. But I just think that was a trait in point horror was, you know, you knew their names by the end for a
yeah.
definite.
Oh, yeah.
Speedway Chicks put scary vibes a hit. Oh, that's good. So quite a few people liked this.
Awesome.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
But thanks for joining me, Josh.
Thanks,
Like, I'm
Shelley.
so glad we got to like celebrate our 1 year
Yeah.
of our live point horror, the very first live point horror that we did with the
Happy,
boyfriend.
happy horrorversary.
Happy point horror
Yes.
anniversary. But no, have so much fun. So, and thanks to
Yeah.
everyone for joining in. And don't forget, please check out Josh's book because you know if you want a crazy ride, ta-da!
Hopefully it's got a better ending than Dream Day, but I don't know. You guys tell me.
Of course, you know, you don't think Josh is going to write a dodgy ending. No way. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining
Thanks,
in.
Shelley.
And thanks, Josh.
Thank
Speak to
you.
you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Have nightmares.